The Cocktail Guru presents Cocktail Commentary with Jeffrey Pogash. Brought to you by Great Jones Distilling's Peated Scotch, Cask Bourbon. Peaty, smoky Scottish character meets bourbon bottled in the Big Apple. Sit back and enjoy New Orleans is My Oyster. The rush to Acme and Felix's.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Cocktail Commentary. New Orleans is one of my favorite cities in the U.S. Whenever I'm there, I feel like I'm in another country, nay, another world. The atmosphere is unlike any other, and the Creole and Cajun cuisine is fascinating, and I might add, a delicious blend of American, African, Spanish, Italian, Caribbean, and of course, French culinary traditions. As soon as I land, I begin my gastronomic adventures by literally rushing to Oyster Paradise, better known as Acme Oyster. I'm usually there early in the morning before they officially open, but I take a seat at the oyster bar and watch the shucker deftly and elegantly open the mollusks to reveal the grayish, white pearly oyster that glistens in the shimmering floodlights. Once I'm allowed to order, I go for a dozen char-grilled oysters and a dozen Oysters Rockefeller. Before you call me a glutton, keep in mind that I'm usually accompanied by one or two friends, so we share everything. These two dishes are heaven to me, but I love raw oysters, so we usually have a few of those as well. The Eastern oyster is rich and full of briny character, very different from the West Coast oyster, which is richly textured and less briny. The Gulf oyster is what you find in New Orleans, and they are delicious. I find that they have the flavor of an East Coast oyster, but with textural richness that reminds me of the oysters found in warmer Pacific Ocean waters. The less salty Gulf of Mexico and the fresh water of the Mississippi River influence the flavor and texture of the Gulf oyster. Beauregard Island, Gulf Coast, Triple N, Admiral, and Camarada Bay are just some of the species that can be found in Louisiana. The oil spill of 2010 was a disaster for the entire ecological system of the Gulf Coast, but especially for the once thriving oyster population. Slowly but surely, oyster cultivation is coming back, and based on my interviews, local New Orleans restaurants appear to have an adequate supply to continue to feed the onslaught of hungry tourists. Now, as we all know, New Orleans is known for its mystery and intrigue, and what would life in the Crescent City be without a little rivalry, a little healthy competition? There does seem to be a rivalry between two iconic establishments, Acme Oyster and the restaurant across the street called Felix's Restaurant and Oyster Bar. When I'm at Felix's, I always start with the turtle soup, something that I used to order for years at a restaurant in the New Jersey countryside until they had to stop serving it. But in New Orleans, this traditional 19th century soup continues, delicious with or without a dash of sherry. All of the lavish dinners organized by the high society millionaires of New York started with diamondback terrapin soup, better known as turtle soup. Of course, you can get the full complement of oysters, char-grilled, fresh, or fried, and pretty much any shrimp dish that you can think of, including the classic po' boy. I love both restaurants so much, I will often go to Acme for oysters and a jambalaya, and then cross the street to Felix's for turtle soup and oysters bien vivre. Since I experiment with oysters and spirits on a regular basis, I can state with certitude that whiskey, especially a peated whiskey, marries beautifully with oysters. I've been enjoying this pairing for many years, and it never fails me. Whether the oysters are fresh, char-grilled, or fried, makes no difference. It is one of the most satisfying gastronomic experiences that life has to offer. This peated Scotch cask bourbon from Great Jones Distillery is a fine example of just how good this combination can be. Look at this beautiful platter of oysters, this wonderful Great Jones whiskey from a peated cask. Nothing better than this. Let me enjoy some, if you don't mind. That's a char-grilled oyster right there. I'm going to wash it down with this wonderful peated bourbon. The peat comes through, blends perfectly with the oyster, cuts some of the brininess of the oyster. It is just very satisfying. And thanks very much for joining me on this edition of Cocktail Commentary. Until next time, cheers.